Lake Forest podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Looking for the best pool supplies? Look no further than Dohany's Pool Supplies. With a history dating back to 1967, this family-owned business offers everything families need to keep their pools clean and sparkling, from chemicals to equipment. Plus, customers enjoy free shipping on all orders. Visit Dohany's Pool Supplies today at doheny.com, DOHENY.com, to learn more. Forest Bluff Real Estate Team serves Illinois, Wisconsin, Lake Forest, and Lake Bluff. John Josephitis, Laura Lee Van Fleet, and of course Michelle Parnell. Get a free market analysis now at forestbluffrealestate.com. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Havey Communications has been helping first responders arrive safely since 1983. It's owned by Lake Forest's own Mike Havey. Check them out at haveycommunications.com. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, and Herrick.
Good morning.
Speaking
all the players on.
Speaking of playa, look at that chair.
How we doing this morning, this cold, snowy morning?
Yeah, it's beautiful out, huh?
Just making friends.
Did it ruin your kids trick-or-treating?
No, they're on
They're
bail.
all old. I think it came afterwards.
Come on, Rick. Let me see that smiling face.
Your camera on, Rick.
Oh, my camera's off. I'm sorry.
You got something to hide? Come on.
No, I got the sunlight blowing through my window here, so I'm trying. Yeah, I'm gonna slide over here.
You're a ray of sunshine
Oh,
Well, enjoy it while we
on
can.
a dark, coldy day.
It's not long before it's gone. You know that.
nothing better for transparency than sunshine. How's everybody? How's everybody doing?
Good. Busy. Nice to be
To
busy.
see you guys.
Rick, how is it? What's it like being the most second-guessed guy in town?
It's right behind being the most second guest guy in my house.
Oh,
I'm the most second-guessed guy in my house. I don't know about that.
No matter what I do, I always seem to. I don't know how I made it through life all this time on my own.
well, all these backseat drivers. Rick, you should do this. Rick, you should, including me. I mean, there's no bigger hypocrite than me. Hey, get the cover bands in there. Do this, do that. Start the show earlier. Start it later. Whatever.
Everybody has ideas. That's okay. I mean, it does improve over time because there are a few good ones that come in too.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Rick Amos and Joe Oriti from the Friends of Park and Rec. For the new people that may have tripped over the curb and stumbled into this podcast, could you give a little background on Friends of Park and Rec? Like, what's the difference between Friends of Park and Rec and then the Recreation Department for the city?
Yeah.
What's a treasurer do? What's a board member do?
Yeah, those are all good questions. Let me start with a description of the organization, and Joe can chime in terms of the various roles that we play. So the Friends of Lake Forest Park and Recreation is a 501c3 foundation, so a not-for-profit. And we are a support organization, a sounding board, an assistance provider, if you will, to the Park and Recreation Department. So led by Sally Swarthout and Joe Mobile. And a host of other folks. We are there to assist them to promote parks and recreation programming, activities, and all things that do with parks and recreation in the community. Lake Forest is a little different in that a lot of North Shore communities are park districts, which essentially means they have taxing authority on their residents. Lake Forest does not have that. We're part of the Parks and Recreation Department, as part of the city budget. So they're part of the city government organization. So we are an outside volunteer organization in most cases, helping to fundraise to support programs within the Park and Recreation Department that may not be part of the annual budget. For example, right now we're leading the fundraising effort for the Pathway Project, which is hitting the airways recently, which is essentially the city wants to rebuild a ramp from Forest Park Bluff, if you will, down to the beach. And we took out the ramp years ago because the bluff was eroding. So the decision was made to rebuild that in conjunction with the city. So, the estimates that came in to build that were essentially double what we thought they would be pre-pandemic. So $2.8 million roughly. And so the city decided to do a public-private partnership where the city was going to kick in about half, and then hopefully the city residents would kick in the other half. So the Park and Recreation Foundation, the Friends, is in essence leading that fundraising effort in hopes that we can close that out by the end of the year with our fundraising, so that we can do the construction work, if you will, over the winter and through the spring. So by Memorial Day next year, the rampway is open down to the beach.
If you don't know how important that ramp is, I don't know if you've ever tried to take a cooler down those steps, those rocky steps.
Yeah.
You got to, first of all, you got to dodge the Rockies that are running up and down the damn thing. Yeah. But if you want to bring your cooler down, and if you want to bring down a substantial amount of beer, that is a haul. And you cannot walk on that ramp where the cars go. Right. So that's the only way you can get down there if you want to enjoy the beach.
Yeah.
And if we don't,
and Pete, you raise a good point. As we've been out fundraising, a lot, clearly the first question we're asked, great, think this is a worthwhile project, because there'll be lookout points along the way. It'll traverse back and forth down there, so it won't be too steep, but it'll be functional and some great viewpoints out over the lake. But the second question we get is, what are you doing about the stairs? What are we doing to either widen those stairs or add a second stairway, because there is so much traffic down there. So one of the things, candidly, we've been talking to city government about is giving them that feedback. And I know the city manager and the mayor are saying, hey, that's probably a good idea. So we should look into possibly doing something about the stairway as well. So that's where public feedback does help us make better decisions, I think, for the community.
If you're going to buy the stairway to heaven.
No, I think you should have put one of those.
I apologize. I'm one of those guys running up and down those stairs, so I'm one of the people you're talking about. So
he said to dodge you.
No, they dodge me. I'm bringing my case of beer. Get the hell out of my way. Put in a chairlift, Rick. There
you go. Or one of those alpine slides. You can go
get a dumb waiter so Pete can just put his beer on the dumb waiter and have it bring it down.
Well, I got the dumb part. If we don't do the donations, that means we got to increase the taxes, right?
No, what we'll essentially do is we'll delay the project a year. So right now, city council is voting at the December meeting to order the steel infrastructure. There's a steel base with wood pilings, if you will, that'll go on the top that most of us will see as you're walking up and down. But there's some supply chain issues with that, so we need to get the funds by the end of the year. Donations are rolling in, so for those of you considering it, timing is of the essence here, because we want to order. They want to bring it up for council vote on December 4. Order the steel so it's here in April. So and
your donations are tax deductible, right?
Donations are tax deductible. Make them to the Friends of Lake Forest Park and Rec. If you go to our website, there's all sorts of information there. You can contact me. You can contact others. There was a mailer that just went out to all residents in the city in the last week. So many folks probably saw that. And so we're hoping to get this done. We're at about, I haven't checked the numbers in about a week, so I think we're about $1.92 million of the $2.5 million total.
Nice.
So it did go from 2.8 down to about 2.5. So we rebid it. So the good news is, we're about 75% of the way there. So hopefully if we can raise another $500,000 over the next 45 days, that'll give the council the green light to, in essence.
Well, and what I really like about Lake Forest, one of the things I really like is, there are other communities that would probably just write the whole check, say, oh, whatever it costs, we'll just pay for it out of our taxes. We'll just raise taxes, whatever. And Lake Forest, it is a very fiscally conservative community, and they, leveraging these public-private partnerships like this, I think, makes it so we have the lowest municipal tax rate in Lake County, I believe. So,
Yep. Yeah, you're right, Joe. It's a nice partnership. We did the Forest Park Beach. We did this. We raised about $3 million to restore that. So our community has a long history of our residents reaching out and being very charitable and very, very gracious with their funds to help, improve the community. And I think you're seeing the benefits of it as you look at the turf field project, which is almost completed here this month. It's supposed to be finished. That looks spectacular if you've been by there, and they're putting on the finishing touches of that now. So, there's lots of projects in the community where you can say that, hey, this just wasn't the government spending your money however they want to. This was a joint decision, if you will, made by the residents and what the powers to be in city government think is best for the community, to your point, Joe.
There's sponsorship opportunities, right? Because if you're going to have different levels, I mean, I don't know about you, but those damn steps, I had to go to level 1 and take a breather. That'd be a great opportunity for a sign. Check your pulse, and sponsored by
Lake Forest Podcast.
Forest Podcast. Well, if you've been to the new Deer Path Community Park, you will see they're finishing the walk path around the park now. And there are various exercise stations, if you will, around the facility. So as you're walking, there's chances to do some things. Back to the Pathway Project, there will be a recognition board down at the base at the beach level. So there are sponsorship opportunities there of various levels, starting at $1,000 going up. We had a very generous lead sponsor of the project that hasn't gone public yet, but a significant amount of monies was donated by a single family here in town. So, one of the things I love, I've lived in Lake Forest now for 24 years, and I just love the fact that so many people are engaged and caring about the community, and if you will, putting their money where their mouth is regarding worthwhile projects.
Sure, was a cardiologist. So we have the tree lighting coming up. You have what, 4 events a year, and this is one of them.
You want to know what the treasurer and the secretaries do of the Friends? You want Joe to chime in?
Yeah,
on that?
go ahead.
Keep moving.
Joe's quiet.
Rick's doing a great job so far. So,
what's a treasurer do? You count money? Like, here's a check, Joe. What do you do?
I'm responsible for the entire finance and accounting function for the Friends Foundation. Make sure that all the necessary filings are getting done. The audit is complete, paying all the bills that come due, and then just maintaining the cash. And in addition to my role as a board member to help fundraise for certain events and certain special projects, as Rick mentioned. So,
is there election for the board?
It's a volunteer board. In fact, we have some people terming out now and some new openings coming. If anybody's interested in learning more, certainly reach out to us. One of the Joe's role is critically important, as well as our secretary and our president, our vice president, for several reasons. But one of the biggest one is we are a pass-through entity. And that's significant because there's a lot of folks in town that have charitable intentions or want to do things, but they don't want to go through the administrative process of setting up a foundation or a charitable organization, another 501c3. So we have folks as a pass-through, we have folks that will come to us, say they want to build batting cages or a basketball court or the Stephen Malin Field, out in the western end of town, and the family behind that and others have said, hey, rather than going through administratively doing all that, can we give to the Friends with the intent of fulfilling our desires, our wishes, if you will, with those funds? Wildlife Discovery Center is another one, Ello Farms, right? There's some stuff out there. So there's a lot of that going in the sailing fund, right? Kinderhaven, there's probably a dozen or so of those going on. And so Joe's role and that of the board is to make sure that the donors' intentions with that funding is adhered to in terms of what their intentions are, and then money in fact was spent and wisely, and of course it's audited and accounted for. So if there are others in town that say, hey, I would like to do X in the community, certainly reach out to us. Doesn't mean we can do everything, but if it fits within the city's charter in terms of things that we think make sense for the community, then the Friends of Parks and Rec is more than happy to take a look at that and help assist if we can.
We can have the Pete Jansons water park right on the lakefront.
You can do a water park.
Splash pad.
We've had some folks talking about a marina.
Slip and slide.
In Lake Forest, expanding the marina and bringing in power boats down there and some other things. So we've had a number of ideas over the years. And of course, we have to go to city government. It has to be talked about. It has to be processed. Everybody has to vote on it. It has to make sense. Years ago, a fire and rescue boat for the beach was a hot topic. And so the Friends spearheaded the fundraising in that, if you will, for safety and security down at the beach, and raised a couple $100,000, if you will, for the fire and rescue boat down there that's been used numerous times, within our community and along the North Shore and assisting other communities. So there's some worthwhile things that come out of that effort, and we're pretty proud to play a role in that.
It's freezing out. Who cares about the beach? What's going on? Where can I get a good cup of hot cocoa, Rick?
Well, I know you're relatively new to town, Pete, so I hope you've been to the tree lighting. I know you were there last year, and last year was a great event. We were blessed with warm weather, which was wonderful. So I probably increased our turnout a little bit. We're estimating we had about 5,500 people in Market Square last year. So for a town of 40,000, that's a pretty good turnout. So we're hoping for the same this year. One of the things that was great about it is, this has been going on for 40 years in our community. So I think this is the 42nd year, if memory serves me correctly. And so we'll do it again this year. It's the Friday after Thanksgiving in Market Square. The event will start at 3 o'clock. It'll run till 6 o'clock. And there's lots of activities for the kids. There's crafts for the kids. There's all sorts of stuff. And then the mayor will have bands perform, a brass band perform. We'll have the high school chorus come on. The Lake Forest Dance Academy will perform. The mayor will come up and give some messages, and then we'll flip the lights about 5:15 in the evening, lighting up all of Market Square. So it's going to be a great event. We're hoping for a great turnout. We are going to, just so everybody knows, we are kind of pulling back the event from last year. We got some feedback within the community that felt that last year's event, which featured food stations, drink tents, and a band afterwards performing what we call a little mini concert. We got some feedback from folks thought that was a little too commercialized for what they felt as kind of like a Hallmark moment, if you will, a Hallmark movie type of tree lighting festival. So we're going to pull back a little bit this year, and that will still have the stage so everybody can see. That was solidly approved by everybody. Thought that was a great idea last year. But we're going to eliminate the food station, the food trucks, if you will, and the alcohol tent will not be there. There will be hot chocolate. There will be cookies. There will be the donut truck. The Ortel donut truck will be there again this year. There'll be coffee and stuff like that. But a more condensed event from 3 to 6 that hits all the high points of a tree lighting ceremony without the, if you will, the commercial aspect of getting folks to maybe want to stick around a little longer.
There'll be plenty of opportunities to support some local businesses in downtown and uptown or downtown, whatever you want to call it. That'll be serving food and drinks. I'm sure the Lantern and Duffers and all those places will welcome everyone with open arms. Who knows? They may do little specials.
Yeah, all the restaurants will be full every year, and the downtown merchants hopefully will be open throughout the day. I know many have said they will be this year, given the size of the crowd that we expect. So it is a great day to come out and meet with friends and family and support the local communities in town, because we certainly want to continue to do that.
I guess I got to bring my peppermint schnapps this year. I can't have Oriti pouring me a cold one this year. I'm a little bit disappointed, but that's
Jeff Urso will pour you a cold one over at Duffers.
We got a couple other events I'll pour you beers for, Pete. Don't worry.
You did a great job at that concert. You were the best beer pourer I've ever saw, Joe.
Yeah, I enjoyed working that truck. That was a lot of fun. So
don't worry.
Let's not forget Santa Claus is also going to be at the tree lighting So bring the kids, get your wish lists in early. And then, yeah, we just want to maintain this tradition. It's a great community benefit. It's a free event for those in attendance. And we fund this event through sponsorships, in addition to general donations throughout the year. So please consider supporting so that we can keep providing this tradition year in and year out.
Yeah, and the city of Lake Forest is a big supporter of this event in terms of their funding as well. Yeah.
Well, they help you out with a lot. They put public works guys on site, and obviously you need police anytime you have a large gathering. So
yeah, the unsung hero of the events that we do every year, Pete, you said it earlier, we do 4 events throughout the year: a golf outing, the 4th of July, the music festival, and then the tree lighting festival. And none of those would be possible without the support of Sally and Joe and the staff at the Park and Rec Department. City Manager Wisha, Mayor Tack, all of City Council, very supportive of this. Most of these events will have anywhere from 25 to 75 city staff, behind the scenes, pulling it all together, cleaning up during the event, and then tearing down and cleaning up after the event. So while the residents get to come and have a good time, there's a significant amount of people and resources being committed to this to make it run as smoothly as it does. So we're thankful for the city and the city staff to help us do that.
How much you get paid for doing all this?
We don't get paid anything for doing it. Or Pete, it's our contribution to the community. It's one of the fun things about the Friends is we enjoy doing this, because so many people send us letters or give us donations, or they stop us, in the community. And certainly a lot of people listen to your podcast. So, over the next 10 days, we'll have folks that'll stop me on the streets, if you will, saying, "Hey, I saw you on the podcast. Thank you for doing this." And we're happy to do it. We think it improves the quality of the community, and being a resident of Lake Forest, all of us serve in some capacities. The 2 of you do the podcast. You don't have to do this, right? You want to do this. And so,
I'm hoping to make money one day.
That's okay.
I tell my wife.
There you go. But it just makes being a part of our community special. And the more people that do this, the more stuff there is. I don't know if you're familiar with, there was a recent community survey, and the top 2 vote getters of reasons why people live in town, is community events and outdoor concerts. And so that made our foundation feel pretty good, because those are 2 big things that we're a part of, and there's others doing other things, so it's not clearly us, but at least it knows that the tens of hours that goes into planning each of these events, if you will, and the thousands of man hours cumulatively are appreciated by the folks in the town, and it's one of the things they like about living in Lake Forest.
For the new people that just moved in that haven't been to it before, does anybody have any insights they could give? Because before, they do a countdown for the tree, right? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Mayor Tack will go up there. He'll read something. You'll have the Rockettes up there. I don't even know who are those?
Lake Forest Dance Academy.
Dance Academy always do a great job. They do that. So you want to be kind of close to the stage. You want to be able to, film this stuff, post it on Instagram, say, "Oh, look at my Hallmark town," But any other insights we want to give to people when they come?
Yeah, good question, Pete. So here's after watching the event all these years, this is my 19th year being involved. So I would say this: come early if you want to get to Santa. There's lots of activities for the kids to start, and again, that starts about 3:00. Get up near the stage. The stage that we brought in last year for the first time allows you to be spread out, if you will, and see everything. So that was a big improvement from last year. But Western Avenue is open all the way, from Walgreens, all the way down to Westminster, right? So there's plenty of room to spread out. Most people kind of get jammed into the horseshoe, if you will, around Santa, but there's plenty of place to spread out. The biggest tip I can give you is go to the restroom before you come. Because if you have 5,000 people show up, for 3 hours in there, there's a limited number of facilities available to you while you're walking around. So generally the biggest request we get, is there any other place I can go to use the facilities? And
That means pace yourself on drinking whatever beverage you're drinking.
or drink yourself ahead. But there's not a bad
Bring an
seat
empty bottle.
off the stage, but the Santa line can get long. So you come early. We've got activities for the kids to do after you see Santa and waiting for the lights to come on. There are cookies and donuts being passed out. There's hot chocolate being passed out. So there will be activities for the kids to do beforehand, but that Santa line gets pretty long pretty quick.
Rick, are there volunteer opportunities for folks at this? Are you guys still looking for volunteers? Or?
I think good question, Joe. Normally the answer is yes. I think in this particular situation, since we don't have a beverage tent that we staff, don't need as many volunteers as we would for our other events. But I think the Gorton does also run a movie for kids from 1 to 3. I think they show Home Alone. I'm not sure if they're doing that this year or something else. So, there's a lot of activities during the day. The Friday after Thanksgiving is obviously the biggest shopping day in the year. So, the streets are full with people. So parking generally not a problem, but if you park behind City Hall, or one of the city parking lots, generally there's spots there for you to wander around the street. But if you're trying to park in Market Square, it's pretty tough to find a spot.
Will the stage be raised again this year?
Stage will be raised in the same location. We're kind of next to the old West Side train station across from Forest Bootery. In that area, we will close some of the parking along Western Avenue, if you will, along the train stations to the north, so that we can set up the stage area there. And then those parking stalls outside of Forest Bootery and over by Lululemon will be blocked off, because that's where the hot chocolate beverage tents will be set up during the day. And then we have a kids area in the back, by the Blue Mercury, and back in there, those stalls will be closed as well. So the setup takes a few hours for us to do that. So the parking in the square, if you will be somewhat limited.
So Western Avenue will be closed off?
Western Avenue will be open until about 1 o'clock. Then we will close inbound traffic and just allow the traffic, to exit that got there before 1 o'clock. Between CVS, if you will, Deer Path, and Westminster.
Okay, so tree lighting, highly recommend it. Highly. The other events,
it'll be Mayor Tack's first tree lighting.
Mayor's first tree lighting.
Yeah, because last year Mayor Pandalian did the honors.
We did. It was fun. Last year was a great event. The weather couldn't have been better. So we got our fingers crossed that the snow we're seeing today will dissipate and it'll warm up here 3 weeks from now.
The way Randy moves things along, I don't think you'll get 10 seconds.
He is pretty
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Words.
He's official.
On to the next.
I've enjoyed talking with him and meeting with him, and I think some of the things City Council are doing are some great ideas. So it's Mayor Pandalian was a favorite of mine. I really enjoyed working with him. He was very supportive of our organization, the things we're doing, and Mayor Tack seems to be doing the same. So it's been good, I think, for the city and certainly for our foundation.
Well, let's talk about the second guessing now, Rick. You've done this for 20 years, and ups, downs, sideways. You don't know what the weather's going to be like. You don't know what the tastes are going to be like. You got to budget this stuff. What is it like to be the most second guess man in town?
It's pretty easy, to be honest with you. We have a great foundation. A lot of people volunteer for what we're doing. So, we divide and conquer the tasks. We know you can't make everybody happy, so we don't try. That makes it easy, to be honest with you. I'll give you an example. We're going through the process now of the music we're going to hire for 4th of July. So the planning, 8 months out has begun, and there's fun conversations about, are we tired of these 80s and 90s retreads? Let's get somebody new. Let's get somebody younger. The next generation of parents in town. I'm 60 years old, right? So the next generation of parents in town that are 35 to 45, want somebody from this century. to play at these events, right? And the challenge becomes for our foundation is, you know, a named band or a tribute band is affordable because it seems like every community is doing festivals now throughout the country. So that's driven up
Booking now, yeah.
and of doing these. So it's getting harder and harder. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, candidly, the big name artists just don't draw enough fans to justify their fee. You know, in the old days when we brought in Rick Springfield or Big Head Todd and the Monsters or something, you know, they would draw a couple thousand folks from out of town. That was welcomed because they would come in and go, hey, this is a nice town. Maybe I want to live here. Or they go back to wherever they're from and they tell their friends that, hey, I was in Lake Forest. It was a nice community. That less so now. It's generally more within our community. So we look at our demographic of those that come to our events. And we say, okay, that's who we're entertaining, the 6,000 to 7,000 people that'll come to the festival. How old are they? And to be honest with you, the kids are running around in the back of the venue and the older folks are the ones listening to music. So we have a tendency to cater more towards those that are there for the music aspect of it than just want to turn out and run around with their friends and goof around.
It's ego versus profit. You want
You know, we are a fundraising body, Pete.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. And that's become very difficult over the last 4 or 5 years, especially since the pandemic.
Right.
You know, there were years when we would make $40,000 or $50,000, for example, on the 4th of July, and all that money, 100% of that money goes back into the Parks Department. You know, we haven't seen that profitability in the last 5 years. You know, it's become more difficult because since the pandemic, the cost of doing these events is I don't want to say doubled, but almost doubled.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly 60 to 80% more than what it was when we first started doing it. So that puts a challenge on us, and you know, hence the tribute band or the local artists, like we've had the last couple of years, makes it more affordable. And I think at the end of the day, people just want good music that they recognize.
Right.
You know, and given our audience, you know, the younger folks like to discover new music, but again, they're really not our audience for these events. It's generally folks our age and maybe younger that want to go and hear music that they're familiar with.
Less risk.
Yeah, and I'll add to that.
You know,
That you know, just to reiterate what Rick is saying, I think there's a big component of fixed costs that goes into these events, and that's the portion that's increased. And although we do get good attendance numbers, it's really the profitability is really driven on how many people we can get, and ticket sales for those two events. We can flex a certain amount of costs in terms of who we expect at the events, but a large part of it is fixed, and those have gone up over the years. But we manage in planning each event year in, year out, and so we'll keep working on it. But yeah, love to get people more involved and get out and bring their friends, bring their family out of town, and really have a good time.
Yeah.
Spoken like a true treasurer there.
That's my role,
right? Do you guys survey? Pricing survey. Hey, would you pay this for that? Just to get an idea if somebody will take the survey.
We don't survey our events. We do benchmark our events compared to what other folks are doing. In terms of our ticket prices, if you will, the value they get for it, the time they get for it. When Winnetka does a music festival similar to our music festival, and so we look at what they're doing, and we know the folks that organize that. We share ideas. I had a conversation with them, less than a month ago about lessons learned in terms of what they're seeing in Winnetka versus what we're seeing, and how can we share best practices to try and do this, because we want their event in Winnetka being successful in June helps us have our event be successful in August. But it's tough, and all the communities are, even fireworks now. Everybody's doing fireworks before, and so that's driven up the cost. And last year was a difficult year for us for the festival, for the 4th of July festival. We planned the event without any idea, knowing how many people are going to show up. Mm-hmm. And so last year it was a year after Highland Park's tragedy. It was at a new venue, it was a new location across the street, if you will, from where we've traditionally done it. And it was in the middle of the week. It was a Tuesday. So, for those three factors, our attendance was about half of what it normally is. And to Joe's point, being the treasurer, he's like, hey, we sold half as many tickets as we sold the previous year. So, that directly impacts our ability to fund and add, if you will, accoutrements to the event to improve the experience for people, because it's got to be paid for. And thank God for the city of Lake Forest. The city council and the mayor appreciate, and city staff appreciate the fact that these events are important to the community. The surveys do support that we just saw. And so they've been our backstop financially, if you will, to make sure we can continue to do those events. And at the same time, the expectation is that, hey, we're making money. We're not just a cost center. So the balance between those two is never been more difficult.
Here's the monkey wrench. Okay, we have you guys doing this. What do other communities do? Like, if the city is backing you, giving you a safety net, then shouldn't the city have a special events person to pitch in and help you out? Are you the special events person? Why is it Lake Forest is special? I get it. We do things differently just so people can understand why do we do it this way with the Friends versus having the city taking on some more risk?
Yeah. That's a fair question. My perspective is, and I've had a lot of conversations over these years with city staff and personnel and council persons and mayors. The city certainly could do this. They don't need us to do it. I think the value of us doing it is that it does get the community involved. I mean, candidly, Pete, I think not only in Lake Forest, but everywhere, maybe more so now than ever, everybody loves to point fingers at somebody that's not doing a good job, or you need to do more, or whatever's going on, right? And while some of it's fair criticism, the reality is, I think we're a stronger community. I think we're a stronger nation. If more people got off their couch and got involved and engaged than just sat back and armchair quarterback the criticism of it. And part of it is you appreciate how much work it does take, but we're a stronger, more vibrant community if more people are involved. And so getting and look at all the foundations in town, Elwell Farms, the open lands. There's a great tradition in our community of so many foundations. The Friends of the Library just did a big project, right? So, I think that's one of the unsung secrets of our community is there are so many people engaged in getting involved. And I got skin in the game. Joe's got skin in the game. All the others got skin in the game. If you're spending your time, treasure, or talent, as I refer to, and we generally want two of the three, if not all three, from folks that say, hey, you get what you give. And so doing this makes it better. And tasking your city government to do those things is doable, but I just don't think it's as rich, and I don't think there's as much skin in the game. My kids ask me, Dad, why do you do this so much time? Because it adds up. And Joe's kids are doing the same thing. I said, it's the same reason I make you do your chores to give you your allowance. I could just give you the money, but you got to have some skin in the game and have some sense of pride of what you're doing. And I think the same is true for our community. So I think the model we have is the appropriate one.
And I would say, I've seen over the years living in different communities and serving in different roles, I've seen the difference of events run by private groups versus events run by government staff. And I think in the end, the events run by private groups tend to be better events. Because of what you just said, there's more. It's not just, it's my job, got to do my job. This is something you chose to do. You guys could easily walk away from this, but you've chosen to do that, and you have skin in the game, and really have taken, you and the other volunteers involved have really taken the bull by the horns and made these into really fun events. And to our point earlier, at the end of the day, we don't have to raise taxes. We get private resources to help pay for these nice things in town, so that we do keep that low municipal tax rate.
Good point, Joe. And one other thing, most of the city staff aren't residents of Lake Forest. They can't afford to live here, right? So I know we're sensitive to the fact that it's nights, weekends, and holidays that we do these things. And they have families, they live in neighboring communities. And, it's a holiday for them too. So, I always feel badly on the 4th of July because, we got 8,000 people running around the field having a good time. Well, there's 70 volunteers that aren't in their communities or aren't with their families enjoying the 4th of July because they're setting up, tearing down, picking up trash, trimming trees, all that kind of stuff. So, in that example, because we appreciate their contributions, we've invited their families to come to the event. We let them in, we feed them, we say, hey, here's your spouse is giving up their time. It's an impact on the family. So please come and be a part of the event. So at least you're close by while they're assisting. So, that human element, if you will, of what we're doing, I think also adds to the quality of the experience. And I know those workers and their families appreciate that attention.
I want to throw out a plug. Lake Forest Bank, they have a special relationship with you guys, don't they? They always come through.
They are a wonderful organization, not only in the success that they've had. Ed Waymer just retired as chairman, is now executive chairman, lives in our community, and his wife Dorothy and their family were raised here. But Wendy Shanker is there, and a handful of other folks. And not only have they supported our events, but I can't remember the last time there was a community event going on when Wintrust or Lake Forest Bank and Trust wasn't a sponsor. I mean, you think of the commitment that they've made to the city of Lake Forest. And again, Wintrust all started here, so it's special, but it's not only here, it's all the communities in which they have branches and locations. And, to be honest with you, our foundation wouldn't be nearly what it is without the support of Ed and Wendy. And the commitment they made to our community and our foundation. So we are forever grateful for the support that they continue to give us.
Yeah, we're very lucky that, most communities now don't have a local bank anymore. It's either, Bank of America or, one of these big national chains, and there's far less local banks than there used to be. And so it's nice to have somebody here in town that continues to support all these activities in town.
Well, and to their credit, I think I saw some data that said like 43% of Lake Forest residents have accounts with Lake Forest Bank and Trust, by far the largest bank in town. And I know personally, I think that's awesome, but our companies bank with the big nationals, and to be honest with you, the level of service you get with those folks is not what it once was. And so, we see a trend moving back to the more community regional banks in terms of service and comfortability, because Joe, to your point, relationships matter, right? And as organizations get bigger, those relationships go away. But Lake Forest Community Bank, anytime you walk in there, and I go in there all the time, Robin's there at the front desk greeting people. I mean, when do you see that? Nobody does that anymore. And it's a wonderful attribute, and probably much of their success is because they continue to do what I would call traditional things in terms of relationships with their customers.
That other bank has a really nice parking lot. That's about it.
A homeless welcome in the homeless center.
Talking about the other one.
Oh,
this weather's taking care of that.
Bank of America.
But we digress.
We don't want to draw Rick into that.
Rick, Joe, do you want to talk about the other events, or we want to leave it hang here?
We're all focused on tree lighting and making sure that goes well. But you're right. We're already working on the golf outing and
Fred Jackson.
The Fred Jackson golf outing. We're working on the 4th of July festival in terms of location and dynamics of that. What would be helpful is the future of the music festival is up for debate. We continue to be challenged with that event, with attendance, primarily because it's August. Kids are going away to school, kids are coming back from vacation. There's Lake Forest days, high school starting. There's a lot of things going on in August. We've moved the date around a couple of times, seeing if that will help, and it doesn't appear to have made a change. So, I think we are in discussions as a foundation and with the city of Lake Forest in terms of the future of that event. So, if people feel strongly one way or the other about that event, let us know. Give us a call, send us an email, and let us know if you think that, yeah, don't do it anymore, or yeah, no, please keep doing it. I think in your case, then the city support around that or resident support around that may have some influence here in terms of whether we continue that event.
Here, you asked, I'll answer. A lot of the business people that I talk to when I'm, thinking at the library with TAPS is to do more, the street festivals, just block off Western and, throw a stage up and get a crowd together to go into bars and whatnot. That's what they've told me, and they'd be willing to pitch in on that. I don't know what the profitability is on that, but if the city will, put the police in there and you put something on stage.
Well, that's interesting feedback. We moved it from Deer Path Community Park to the City Hall, hoping to get more traffic flow throughout the day. You can come in and you can come out, if you will. It's been a challenge. So, we're looking at moving the event to earlier in the summer, perhaps June, seeing if that'll help before summer vacations and things that take place. But, again, the cost of doing these things is not insignificant. So the challenge is how do we do it? And candidly, if we had 5,000 people show up rather than 2,500 people, this wouldn't be an issue. We'd keep going.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work and effort for 2,500 people to come, regardless of how you do it. As you know, down in the city of Chicago, there's tons of street festivals, and they perform marvelously well. But their density of population of being able to walk out and walk 3 blocks and go to a music festival is, it's a different demographic, if you will, than we have here in terms of ease of getting to.
And you, as you said earlier, you guys transitioned away from getting like big name artists, like I think you mentioned Rick Springfield, because it brought in a lot of people from out of town. I don't know how it worked profitability wise, but obviously you pay more when you get a bigger name, so it probably all washed out. But you want to keep it local. But that if we do that, then we need more locals to come.
We need more local support, and we do this. The Park and Rec Department does do the music in the square on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
So they do 8 weeks of kind of that local come into town and bring a lawn chair and listen to some music for an hour, and that's so we didn't want to compete with that. The city is testing some ideas regarding the Bank Lane redevelopment project. So perhaps there's some opportunities as they decide the direction on where they're going with that to create more of a street fair type atmosphere along adjacent, if you will, to that development project if they end up doing that.
All right, more ideas coming out. Joanna Rolek, can you help pitch in and get something going here with the chamber? Can they do something to help out with you guys?
Certainly, we welcome opportunities with the chamber and with the Market Square Association. We think there's strength in numbers, and maybe it's a big strategy session led by city government and the various organizations in town to bring more energy and more people and more support, if you will, of the central business district, if you will. Certainly, that can help. If we were to pool resources.
Rick Amos, Joe Oriti, this most second guess people in town.
This drink's for you. I watched Rick at the concert and some of these other events. He's a boss. He is everywhere. I mean, that guy, we're all sitting having a good time. He is every single point. He's on the stage. He's at the beer tent. He's at the concession stands. He's making sure the garbage cans are empty. I mean, he is, I mean, this guy is, I mean, amazing what you do, Rick, and Joe too.
Oriti's behind those tappers.
Yeah, he does. No one, you'll never find a better bartender in town than Joe Oriti. Hey?
Well, it's nice of you to notice. I would say we got 15 folks that are working just as hard as I am, but I guess I'm the face for these communities.
Well, and you're pretty tall, Rick, so you
Rick,
stand up.
Rick is being,
and they don't see everybody else, but there's a lot of people.
Rick is being really humble. He, in addition to what you're seeing, he probably puts at least 10 times that amount in throughout the year, planning the events, you know, constantly on the phone, talking to vendors, organizing, you know, really, he's got so much institutional knowledge and experience. We all on the Friends Foundation appreciate it. And everyone in town should really thank Rick, because without Rick, I'm not sure that these events would go as smoothly and be as nice, if at all. So thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, these events just don't just happen. Anybody that's ever been involved in an event, I mean, a lot. You spend more time planning the event than the actual time of the event.
Rick, I like to thank your dermatologist for your thick skin.
It's not that bad, Pete. You know, of course, I've been criticized throughout my whole life for various things. So maybe you just get a thick skin. You're, as you said, you're Teflon, man.
All right. Last time, how do people find out about you? Where do we send them?
So go to the Friends of Lake Forest Park and Rec website. Joe or Pete will throw up a little website for us. Right now, there's two big things. Come to the Tree Lighting Festival. It's a great event. The more people that show up, the better. But this pathway project, if you're all inclined to want to support, no donation is too small. We'll throw up the graphic on that as well. Time is of the essence here. As I said, the city council has to vote December 4th because they need to say yay or nay to be able to order the supplies to show up in the spring, so that we can have that completed for next summer's beach season to get down there. So, you know, again, we're about $500,000 to go, maybe $600,000 to go on that. So if you can make that donation the month of November, then we'll be on our way, and that will be greatly appreciated. So time is of the essence on that.
Yeah, there is a little bit of urgency on that because of order of operation due to the Bluff project, right? They need to re-landscape and redesign that entire area. So it's really, it would save the city money and also time by putting in the groundwork to do the walkway before it's landscaped. Because if we don't hit that goal, there's a risk that we might not proceed with the walkway at this time in the future, but then you don't want to have to, dig up the landscaping and design if that proceeds in the spring. So it really is, we're almost there. We're about, over 2/3, almost 3/4. And any little bit helps.
And here we are in November, so this is a great time if you're looking for tax deduction opportunities.
Made too much money, you capitalist pigs.
Well, one point I'll make also, I've been asked about, okay, if you go over your goal, what happens to the excess funds? Fair question, right?
You get Rick Springfield.
So all those funds will go into the beach area in terms of other things that we've been working on that, if you will, are on our wish list. So if we end up at 2.7, for example, rather than 2.5 on the project, then that additional $200,000 would go into additional maybe beach equipment or repairing beach equipment. I keep arguing for the stairway. Let's take some of that money and widen that stairway, or add a second stairway, if you will, because I think most people in town, based on my feedback when I'm asking people to give, that's the thing they want most.
Why do you
I
guys?
think you should get a Led Zeppelin cover band at the dedication to play "Stairway to Heaven."
There you go. I like that.
Why do you guys run those steps, especially when everybody's there? Why don't you do it like earlier in the morning? You guys. You put your suntan lotion on, you put your cat, and then you wait till everybody's there, then you start running up and down. That's what I notice. Why do you guys do that?
That tells me you're not an early morning person, Pete, because I run it at 7, and there are people going up and down those stairs at 7. And so Most folks that are running will pause at the bottom or at the Belvedere midway and let those walkers come down before they run up by them. Not everybody, but most people are.
No, when I go to the beach at 1 o'clock with my case of beer in the cooler, I got these tykes running up and down, bumping me in my cooler. I'm just saying, that's all. I'm just wondering why. That's just me, you know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm edgy this week.
We're just gonna get you a dumb waiter, Pete, that lifts your cooler up for you.
I need a smart waitress.
I think we would get a high propensity of positive votes if we said we're going to widen that stairway so it doesn't have 2 lanes.
Okay, fair enough. Rick Amos, Joe Oriti, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Worst
Thank
podcast.
you.
Here, I'm going to hit pause.
Keep up the good work, guys.
Just like you. We're the third most second guess people in town.
I think you're more second guess than I am.
Actually, I think we're more second guessed than the mayor.
I'm just misunderstood. But the Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Looking for the best pool supplies? Look no further than Dohany's Pool Supplies. With a history dating back to 1967, this family-owned business offers everything families need to keep their pools clean and sparkling, from chemicals to equipment. Plus, customers enjoy free shipping on all orders. Visit Dohany's Pool Supplies today at doheny.com, DOHENY.com, to learn more. Forest Bluff Real Estate Team serves Illinois, Wisconsin, Lake Forest, and Lake Bluff. John Josephitis, Laura Lee Van Fleet, and of course, Michelle Parnell. Get a free market analysis now at forestbluffrealestate.com. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Havey Communications has been helping first responders arrive safely since 1983. It's owned by Lake Forest's own Mike Havey. Check them out at haveycommunications.com. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, and Herrick.